Shalom, y'all. Peace, y'all. I was going to come on here and open this up as a ceremony, so I'm going to say a quick little prayer. All right. So, as we come forth into the light of the great mother's honor and her source, only those who honor you are welcome to enter into your grand, supreme royalty. So, we call you forth here as the Liban Thor, Sekmat, Mayat be the scales and the balance. Segment be the sword for those who perpetrate. And easily revolutionize this video. All right, so let's go. Listen, at first I was gonna hold back on the message, but the mother's vibration on the highest wave just hit me like and she was like, you don't gotta hide none of this stuff no more because it's about frequency. Those that can't catch up to the frequency won't get the message. So the reality is we are not at the fullness of it. So the prayer is to make sure the space is respected and honored by the women who I mentioned when I speak, because they are me, but we want to honor them as spirits first, not their physical vessel. Me, I'm just a vessel, whatever. So, listen, I came to y'all with a revolution. I spoke about Three Eye Atlas, and let me turn this down because y'all know how it gets when music gets loud and you can't hear me, and we don't want that. We definitely want this message to be heard all across all worlds, rooms, and dimensions. Bear with me. Okay, so I have spoken about the what's the word? Goodness. Um, one second. Let me hide it. I had previously spoken about the material that they said Three Eye Atlas was consisted of, the base materials. The reason why it had everybody so freaked out, when I say everybody, I'm referring to those who are scientists, because the scientists are the ones who was called out in this time within our collective, but the mainstream scientists are the ones who are reporting it mostly. Okay. Because I noticed that a lot of our brothers and sisters have not woken all the way up until their gifts. So that's fine. But these scientists are, hold on one second. Yeah, so the scientists have been reporting about it, and one of the things that they kind of often speak about is the fact that it freaks them out. You got something else in your mouth? Stop putting stuff in your mouth. Okay, so they're freaked out about it because the substances that this thing contains. Now, keep in mind, being that this is something so far away, it's not really far away, but it's they can't get close enough to it. Otherwise, they would have been shot. They would have been nail. Don't come in here with that. Mom. This is not for babies. This is not what you usually take. Um, so they're over here all freaked out because the only thing they can observe technically is the corona, right? Which is the outer substance of this object, which we know respectfully is a mothership. Okay. Because if they could get close enough, they would be able to tell you exactly what kind of beings are on it. But anywho, so let's talk about that. I mentioned the kyanite and the nickel. Those are the two things that freak them out the most because it's usually a compound that doesn't happen often on these type of quote unquote comments, right? Because it's supposed to be a comment, which come on now, at this point, come on now. Um, so let's talk about the nickel and the kyanite because this is a very deep indicator of what is taking place in the Bible scriptures coming alive. Now, I'm not talking about the ones that were plagiarized and mixed up and lied about. I'm talking about them little truths that that system left in the Bible. Put that back. You better go sit down somewhere, girl. Go sit down, mommy. So, let's talk about kyanite first. Let me share my screen. Because, oh, thank you. Love you so much, mommy. Me too. No, wait. Okay. No, mom can't do belly time right now. Let's see. Hold on, guys. I want to make sure I'm sharing the right part of my screen. Okay. Yeah. Big kyanite. That's a So let's talk about what kyanite is. So in chemistry, kyanite is an inorganic chemical compound that contains a CNA function group. This group is known as, I don't even need to read all the fancy stuff because most of us is not going to know it on that level. But let's see. Let's talk about. So we want to talk about kyanite's uses. I'm gonna get to nickel in a second, but let's talk about kyanite's uses. So if you don't know, kyanite is a chemical that is extremely toxic. Okay, let me pull it up and make it bigger. Okay, so here we have, this is according to AI. Sometimes AI gives you a little bit of truth and a little more depth than Google. So I'm using this. So it says I asked, what was the uses in medicine? First of all, let me back up. When 3-Eye Atlas, which is actually Nibiru, okay? Secrets out. If I didn't say it already on this channel, I'm telling y'all, it's Nibiru. And it's not alone, okay? There's so many more of them. But because it's the big boy, that's what they're talking about, and that's what they're focusing on. Now, when they first spotted it, it was said to be a color of red, okay? Then it changed over from red and it started to turn green. But before it turned green, actually, I'm sorry, it turned orange, it turned oranges, it turned red, oranges, which red represents the root chakra, orange represents the sacral chakra, and then it had some hints of blue. It was said to have some hints of blue in it, and then it turned fully green, which is the last known color that it was reported to be, which is your heart chakra, okay? That's very important because I'm going to tell you how this plays a role with kyanite. Now, after the heart chakra, currently, i.e., today, you're getting this information fresh off the market, it is reportedly gold, which means the chemical compounds have changed. Mind you, as it was spotted, it was said to develop 7 jets in the beginning. So now it's at more jets than that, but the 7 jets was significant at first. We know what that 7 jets is. Ezeli Denthor said to have 7 sisters, okay? And we know that is code for her 7 seals. That's another way to keep her hidden. Her different aspects will be, each aspect will represent a sister. It's somebody else who said to have 7 sisters too. That's a goddess, but for some reason it won't come to me. So yeah, and then after it was said to have 7 seals, all of a sudden they done discovered some anomalies. Guess how many, y'all? 13. We talk about 13 on my channel representing the mother and Dinah. I'm gonna give y'all some more on that too. So let's talk about the kyanite, the reason why it's turning gold. First of all, kyanite is a mineral that is often used to refine. Okay. What is it used to refine? Gold. So, y'all are about to see why that is so important. Remember the song Silver and Gold? Okay. We're going to keep going. So kyanide's primary medical use is an emergency treatment for poisoning itself. Okay, and then it says, and as a potential targeted cancer therapy. So we already talked about how this is all about plasma and gamma radiation, right? Now, All right, you guys. So back to Kai and I. Let me make sure I'm sharing my screen. What in the world is going on here? Ooh, okay, I'm still sharing my screen, I think. Okay, let's go back to oh no, I'm sharing my screen still. Okay. Okay, so it says here cancer therapy. Now we know that radiation is what gamma ray consists of. Just to sum it up, it's so much more to it, like the different nitrogens and atoms and things like that. So it's not on the screen, I'm gonna tell you because I has studied it. Kyanide is actually a triple, wait for it, a triple atom, okay? And we know that is code for the three great mothers. Or we could say the Holy Trinity, the mother and her masculine and feminine vessels, and then her children, right? So here is talking about cancer therapy. And we know the keys to Enoch tells us that the way we use our chakras, or the way, let's say the way we use our earth, our frequencies, the way we treat this house, because I'll often tell people when I'm talking to them that ain't a part of my community, y'all, my people's over here on YouTube, so you guys already know, but I often tell regular people when they ask me, well, what is it you be talking about? Because people think everything is such scary. And I'm like, well, y'all got to remember that you live in a house. You take care of your house, right? Yeah, okay. Your house is within a house. That earth, that planet. You guys don't know how to take care of a house. You don't know where the lights are. You don't know where the water is. You know nothing about it. So when you think about that, it's you are a cancer to its environment. Why? Because you are not utilizing the resources of this place correctly. Your air, the misuse of all of the chakras is the reason why this whole thing is even taking place. This is the reason why it has to be an evolution along with an extinction transformation. So that's why it's talking about cancer. And as above, so below. Remember I told you stellar means of galactic or celestial. And cellular is you, the small universe or the small earth. Okay. So if it's used for therapy, that means that whatever is bad in you, it can cleanse or refine. Okay. And so it says, okay, so it's mainly known for its extreme toxicity. Now, and interfering with cellular oxygen use. Used through low concentrations might have protective roles against hypo, oops, hypoxia. I was gonna say hypoxia, hypoxia in the body. We're gonna talk about hypoxia next. But it says down here, it says research explores delivering enzymes to tumors that produce kyanide logically. So it's basically it's a what's the word? I'm gonna say molecule for now. It's a mechanism that is used that if you use it intelligently, because we know cancer tumors form out of radiation as well. So, like I always tell y'all when people be like, oh, well, the mother is not left hand, she's only supposed to be right. And it's like, no, balance is what you're supposed to be. Why? Because if you have cancer, which is a denser form of which comes from poor amounts of radiation that forms toxic tumors, then why the hell are they sending you in a radiation chemotherapy to dismember it? Why use the thing that's bad against the thing that's bad? But that's the alchemy of balance. And this is why a lot of people have to be very humble with this knowledge, because people don't really be knowing what they're talking about. Okay, so blood pressure management. Now, for the hate to say Black, but I'm gonna say for my so-called Black community, my indigenous people. One of the number one things that we have problems with when it comes to our health is that blood pressure, because the target for us and our food is your neural system, your nervous systems. So one of the reasons why y'all blood pressures be high is because they put specific foods that we like. They put things in those foods that raise our blood pressures, types of foods we eat and how we eat, okay? And so it's telling you that blood pressure management is also something that can come out of this kyanite substance. Um, let me see. Oh, my screen sharing is paused. That's why. I'm sorry, you guys. I thought y'all was watching with me. And then it says, what else here? Okay, boom. Here we go down here. It says exposure, and I need y'all to hear this because um the keys to Enoch talked about this too. No, different. No, different. No, no. It says exposure can occur via industrial accidents, fires, burning plastic, contaminated food, blah, blah, blah. But it says in S, wait, hold on. Where's the part I was looking? Oh, okay. It says kyanide's primary association is fast-acting lethal poison used in suicides, homicides, and historical warfare. Y'all heard that? When I was on here talking about how, we as a community on YouTube, not just YouTube, but I'm gonna tell y'all something. YouTube is one of the primary platforms. You got to think about the name, YouTube. Now, we are supposed to be changing from the 666 vibration on this planet to the 999. The 999, I'm gonna show you. Let me share it because I had it already ready for us. 999, and this is, man, I'm not fixing this no more, little girl. You're gonna have to find you something else. Because if you can't play with the toys, here, mommy. There you go. I'll be just saying stuff and gonna do it anyway. Okay, so this the Hermit card. Now, 9 is the number of this card. I always say it, but I'm gonna say it again in case you're new here. The Torah or the Torat is the original Tarot. If you don't know, don't come on here with the bull about what I'm using and how it's wicked, because every time I'm gonna whack you over the head with the knowledge. This card represents, look at the man holding the light, okay? And Hermit is inner. So spiritual enlightenment, soul searching, self-reflection, inner guidance. Now, the 999 is the Shekinah universe, or the mother universe. This is where you get introduced to those invisible gifts, aka your spine, the gifts that go up and down your spine, your chakras. And so while it's talking about kyanite being used for where did I put right here? Where it's talking about it's used in historical warfare, this is how this thing is going to occur when we talk about the evolution and the fall, right? By the way, Mary Magdalene, the word Magdalene means tower. Okay, so when people say that I got something to do with people falling, that's the whole message. Now, it ain't even about a physical doing something in that aspect. But if I'm responsible for the fall, that means that my body or my overself is on that cosmic ship, able to dictate the notion of this, because kyanite is what is going to cause the fall. All this is going to do is cause you to self-reflect. And unfortunately, if you're not out of the bonds, remember the scripture in Amos, my son's name, my third son name. it's that scripture talks about who can loosen the bands of Orion's belt and usher in the sisters. Well, I don't know why. Arcturus and her sisters, or the flock, the little flock, okay? And this is telling you that in order for you to open up your chakras, you're gonna have to open up them boxes and stop operating on your natural lower senses. Now, here's where it gets tricky. This being so lethal and it being closely approaching Earth, it is telling you that your mind is going to be where the fall takes place. Because anything that will cause somebody to go suicidal is because the battle is between you and you. I did a lesson called Cain and Abel in Lil Inky or whatever, and I was talking about the real war because the real war is within. That's why it's telling you what is the cause of it, okay? And then it also talks about kyanite binds, and it talks about its effect on the mitochondria, and it blocks the electron transport chains, preventing cells from using oxygen to make energy. What did our dear brother Abdullah tell y'all the mother was? She's the air. I did a lesson on that, the heart chakra and the air. So she is the mitochondria cell in the matrix. This has always been about your mind. So if you are not freeing your mind of all the toxicity that it has been implanted through the program of third dimension, your ass is going to be at a battle with no end. What did I think Adair was talking about this too when he said about the Hopi prophecy and how if you don't have the mother on your side, you're going to have a very hard time in this evolution. And honestly, forget hard time, you ain't gonna have no time because it says it's telling you right here. Now, also, which I thought it listed, but it don't. It don't have it here. Let me see. I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna read it a little bit off of my phone. So when it talks about the hold on, let me pull it up. I don't even want to just try to talk about it. I want to give it to you direct. So in kyanite's protective role, its studies have shown that low levels of kyanite in the body might help cells survive oxygen deprivation during strokes and highlight complex biological roles. So and then it also talks about, hold on, let me pull it up here. So hypoxia or brief intermission exposure to low oxygen. Let me see. It is used as a trigger. So this is where kyanite comes into play. It is used as a trigger to protective healing responses, improving cardiovascular health, which is your heart space. Remember, 3i Atlas turn green. And then it also improves athletic performance, neurological function. So it's basically your supercharge, but heavy on that heart space, that cardiovascular part. Now, I'm going to skip over to, hold on. Where is it? Pull it up. I made, I'll be liking to make these little, I'd be liking to make these little things for y'all on this channel just because I feel like it gives us more. I'm a visionary, so this is why I like to do it. I don't know if anybody else on here is, but so it says here, 3i Atlas, the refining comment. So we just talked about kyanite, how it mimics hypoxia, the low oxygen. In medicine, when it's controlled, it can boost your cardiovascular health, improve neurological function, and trigger protective healing responses. Now, I'm gonna keep it real. A lot of the reasons why some of y'all, not y'all that are here with open hearts and open mind, but some people have a hard time escaping the matrix is because they are not their nervous system. It's like they're in survival mode. You know, your lower chakras are your survival chakras. So they think everything is offensive and they're easily offended. They're not operating with comfortable nervous systems. And just being real with you, a lot of them older women are the ones on the prescriptions for high blood pressure and have terrible nervous systems because they find it the hardest to escape one, the diet, and two, being coming from the time frame that a lot of these elder women come from where they were used, because you got to understand, y'all, 1970 is when it became legal for a woman to own property if she was married to a man. That's not that long ago. As a matter of fact, I think I might be saying this wrong. I think it became legal for her to get a house without being married. But the point that I'm making is 1970 is not that long ago. Okay. My mama was born in 1970. I wasn't that long ago, 55 years ago. So you got to understand a lot of the things that they have going on with them has a lot to do with the system that they're a part of. A lot of parents back then were in survival mode, teaching their children they don't have a voice. The levels of discipline were so overbearing, so a lot of the things that they're trying to undo is really some hard stuff to undo unless your heart is really ready for the activation. So for divine coded bodies, it's supposed to give you the ability to survive as far as the apocalypse, let's just say that word. But the mimic coded bodies is going to shut down and glitch or become plagiarized for food for prey, should I say, for the lower frequencies who need a body to host. It is what it is. And so the nickel, we're going to talk about the nickel next. So nickel is, by the way, a magnetic substance, okay? So magnetic. So this is how you're going to be able to connect with your parental frequencies, aka your mama, the real womb, the celestial womb. This is how you're going to connect with it because you're magnetizing your body right now by changing your frequency, attuning yourself, right? So nickel responds to magnetic frequencies and radio signatures. Radio signatures are very important because the keys of Enoch tell you when this thing takes place, it's going to shut down radio systems, which is very significant because you now become the signal. This is how you're going to connect with your brothers and sisters telepathically while there is no way to connect physically. Okay. So radio signatures, meaning you'll be able to pick up what the mother is saying. When she say, come this way, come that way, do this, do that, you're gonna hear it clearly. This is why I keep saying, like, when you talk about your lights being turned on and how it's going to look, you're going to be able to read through the grid. If you see a comment, you're going to be able to see exactly what spirit is behind it because you're going to be turned on fully. A lot of us are having long periods of being turned on, or should we say long periods of consciousness, because we go in and out of it right now, right? Because of the frequency of the planet. But when this takes place, you're going to be fully connected. Now, some of us have the ability to turn the connection on through practicing higher spiritual things, because by practicing tarot, I'm teaching myself how to read through signs, okay? Which makes it easier for me to read the signs on a day-to-day basis. Okay, I'm not going to that store today. You know what I'm saying? Or, okay, she worked with a spirit, I don't want nothing to do with, you know what I mean? Or whatever it may be. So, nickel radio signatures. And it says 3-Eye Atlas flooded the field with synthetic signals because the mission is to cleanse what don't belong. So if you ask the synthetic, you're going to have to get that. The signal is going to make your brain like turn on. And if your thoughts are not high, turning them on is going to make them louder. Okay. So divine nervous systems are going to glitch to static. So it ain't gonna be you're not gonna have to worry about the static if you're in the divine, if you're on the ship, if the mother decided to bless you with her gifts. Green represents the heart chakra and cardiovascular activation, your bridge, because you can't get the throat active or your mind's eye or your crown without the heart. And your throat is actually supposed to be your sword to manifest. That's how you know when it's active. Like when I get on here and talk and something happens in the planet, that's proof that my sword is active. And it's my manifestation because what I say comes to life. Everybody is going to get this gift who the mother decides to select. And then gold represents the crown or the spiritual purification and enlightenment. You could read about this in the Bible. I'm gonna read it for us. Let's go there. I'm gonna do that last, actually, just because I got some more goodies for us that I think will build that up pretty good. Okay, now, oh, let me stop sharing my screen real quick because I forgot that I didn't. Well, I'll keep it on this for a second. I gotta open up my email and I'm gonna tell them what I got in it. I don't know, personal information, whatever that we're gonna do. Why is Johnny Jackson stuck in my head right now? Oop. All right, we got it. So this is the keys to Enoch. I gotta love it when you say things that come to life. I already did this lesson. Go check it out. It's called Return to Your Parental Source of Light. However, I'm gonna read out of this key for sake of making it make sense now. Key 204. I like to read the little part that describes what it's going to talk about because it gives a pretty good basic description. The keys to the sons of light. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize, y'all. I'm reading out of key 204. So the keys to this, hold on one second. Okay. All right, so let's see. The keys to the sons of light are given in transmission of living energy codes within the people of God. They are sent from living universe to living universe to reveal the codes of light to the orders of evolving species within the cellular. Remember, I told y'all when we talk cellular, it's talking about your physical body, okay? So within you, within cellular time, so that within cellular time, so that the coded nuclei membranes may attach to the larger membranes of universes. Now, to make that more simple, it's basically this is how you're gonna get on the mothership. Because notice the number in the key is 204, which is manifestation, the number 6. 666 is the carbon man. Okay. Okie doke. So I'm gonna read the first verse. The sons of light project geometries of creation into the fourth dimension. Space into the fourth dimensional space. Hold on one second. Uh, Okay, so it says the geometries of creation into the fourth dimensional space in order to code spiritual mankind into the fifth dimension, the next larger universe, the next larger membrane of universes. The revealing of the codes of light extend through telethought communication. So This is why I be so serious with my chest on here when I tell y'all who I am or when I tell y'all who's who, because this key just told you the suns. Remember, I told y'all, you locked into a solar system. I'm outside of that. My mind is allowed to stretch farther than just this planetary solar system with the 7 to 9 planets that they acknowledge in it. My mind goes outside of that. And this is why a lot of the brothers on here, even the ones who people might feel like I've addressed in offense, have still spoken to me with all respect because they know. And the telethought communication is already happening. This is how we all know who's who. Um, Sometimes it's vivid for longer periods of time. Sometimes it's just short little messages here and there. But it's happening, you know. And so what the sons of light. So it's basically telling you, because if you look up the definition of sons of light, let me just do that real quick. Let's see. So we could get that basic understanding, because I want y'all to understand that when I talk about me being a midwife, it's also a reflection of me being the midway between the higher realms and the lower realms. I'm only here to help people evolve. Okay? Sons of light, the garments of perfection as foundation for enlightenment. All right, y'all. So I'm not gonna read it off. This is a long definition, but it says they are manifest on planetary worlds at the beginning of programs and at the end of programs to conclude the struggle between powers of spiritual light and darkness. Listen to me. Listen to me, y'all, and listen to me good. Lower planetary realms. So these extraterrestrial sons of light, which we know daughters too, are in planetary realms. That means they're here. So you are looking at avatars of those frequencies, her sons and daughters. Okay, and so which is produced through the modulation of gravitational waves. The gravitational wave carries the codings of light intelligence from the larger membrane of universes. So these sons and daughters are here online, reading out of these books, helping y'all ascend. But this is also why Yahweh Shai didn't want to be worshipped, because he was teaching you how to do what he already knew how to do. Now, you as a believer can receive modulated gravitational waves factors that are sent from a higher evolutionary master intelligence of light, the higher masters. This transmission of knowledge contains codes of light that give you the realization of God's purpose and recognition of where we are in relation to the larger evolving universes. That's how you know who they are. They're going to tell you where we at. This knowledge comes as both a light force and as a love force. Love force. Do y'all hear this? And I'm telling y'all about Three Eye Atlas and the heart space. Tap in with me. And okay, so this is your I am vehicle. It's telling you about the expressions to that. I'm not gonna read that whole thing, but I will jump down here to verse 4 just because 4 in the heart chakra, we need that. So we exist only within our consciousness time cell until the point. So this is why I was making the reference on my last video about how you're a walking computer and your server will only allow you to be on one app, which I gave you the example of YouTube. Can't get outside of YouTube until you change your format, right? Because iPhones had to evolve, cell phones had to evolve. Your ass gonna have to evolve. I'm not being funky, I'm just being silly. Okay, and so it says where we work directly with the hierarchy commissioned by the father to recapitulate the program of the Alpha and Omega. This is why I say be careful who you talk to and how you talk to them, because obviously people, multiple, were sent here to help. Okay, so this next paragraph on paragraph 5 is talking about how the seed. Remember, I talked on the last lesson about how the last time the hierarchies were here to do this program, that was when they planted the seeds. This time, this is why it's the end. This time they are back to gather the harvest of those seeds that sprouted, if they sprouted. And it's talking about how you're going to go from, so let me read a little bit of this. It says, the higher intelligence as configuration and connecting the spiral vibrations of the first chakra to the seventh, eighth, and ninth of the higher evolutionary light. So this is how you're going to connect. This is all about your chakras. Here it says, hold on. When this takes place, the first and second chakra influences dominating organic three dimensional organic three-dimensionality are changed. So I told y'all you operate on your lower chakras. So it has to be, if it have to be changed, that means that's what it already is. So the human system acquires additional eighth and ninth chakra energy fields, which are necessary to receive and send geometries of living light. Go to the next page. My God, I'm trying to get to that page. Easy. Oh, yeah, here we are. So energy resonance are balanced with the eighth and ninth chakra levels as to open human vibratory fields. I'm not gonna read all that. We don't need that. Okay, so we're gonna read verse 8 because we know 4 and 4 is 8. You could say four, half of four being the mother, half of four being the father. You could say polar opposites. It don't matter to me, but we know 8 is a significant number. It's also Leo. Oh, let me mention this as well. So, three-eye Atlas came out of Sagittarius, as we know from my last few lessons, but it is now in the constellation of Leo. I did that lesson too already. I can't remember the name of it, but it was maybe a few lessons ago when I talked about the Leo. The okay, and then let's see. It was one of my recent lessons. I think it was Evolution is Love lesson. So it says from this light encoding, the physical body and the overself becomes one, so that the physical form can be seen simultaneously in two or more locations. You about to get access to the multiverse, the mini mansion. They give you an example of this in that Thor movie, and they show Thor in more than one place at one time. Hold on. So it tells you that. Where am I looking to go? My bad, y'all. I really just got on here and decided that while I was getting my transmission, I was gonna share it with y'all. So this really wasn't a thought out lesson. Okay, so let's go to 11. It says, we are going into a different membrane program at this time. This new program requires that the genetics, remember I told y'all, Sagittarius holds your record. So when it came from there, it was coming from where it was holding your genetic records, meaning it's coming to give you back your remembrance. Really, this is all about remembrance because so as it was before, so it shall be. So if you, like I always say, people always talk about they going to heaven. How the hell you gonna go to a place you do not come from? That ain't how it works. Let's unwrap that lie. So it says, we're going into a different membrane program. Membrane has a lot to do with what we're talking about when we talk about kyanite, nickel, and all those things. They form membranes. This new program requires that the genetics of man function on a higher wavelength. We just talked about the genetics of your cardiovascular and all the things that kyanite would either reduce or increase. In order to accomplish this, the Brotherhood of Light is accelerating the entire system of human biorhythms to a less dense spectrum of matter energy. I'm gonna pause on that one real quick, and then I'm gonna go and talk about nickel for a second. Well, you know what? Actually, we already talked about nickel, so we don't need to overdo it. Um, let's see. So the whole process of this thing that we're talking about when we're talking about all of these elements that come from Three Eye Atlas is to do this. Okay. The Brotherhood of Light is changing the electromagnetic density because all of those cancers make you dense. Okay. And when I say cancers, I'm not talking about literal cancer in your body. I'm talking about anything that is not functioning properly in the octave of the planet. It is a cancer to it. It's weighing you down. Okay, so yeah, it says here, this is accelerating the entire system. And that is very true because that's why this planet, or let's say this spaceship, this mothership had to come here because it had to be done at a rapid pace. Remember, within the twinkling of an eye. Okay, so the Brotherhood of Light is changing the electromagnetic density so that the electrification of matter prepares man for the dominant for doming with its overstuff. We are going directly into a new star system threshold with a new magnetic vibration, which is changing the whole nuclear membrane of the planet. And the kyanite and the nickel and all of the other substances is why, okay? Because you're not going to be able to survive this. Remember this, Keith Enoch tell you it's going to do two things. It's going to make some species more Christ-like and some species more volatile. We talked about this before, but we just putting it all together. And 13 is a very important verse because 13 is also four, but it's also death. Okay, we're going to talk about that. So, new magnetic fields penetrate the RNA molecule, varying the intensity of the field and causing the hydrogen atoms to produce more units. Girl, I don't know what you're trying to have me do. Hold on. Okay, mommy, hold on. There. No. Okay, so it says here, and causing the hydrogen atoms to produce more units as they relate to the geometric bonding of DNA of the DNA pentagon. Realizing then that the universe around us is gauged in many wave factors of electromagnetism, we realize how man, as an electromagnetic computer, told you it was a computer, is still controlled by a larger gravitational time grid, which is different from our spectrum. The bondage, okay? Either the bondage or the freeness. If you are of the light and you are mother's children and you plugged in, it ain't bondage for you, it's freedom. We as the Earth species have been using the wrong attitude, wrong science, wrong wavelength. Told y'all. Of measurements in trying to penetrate gamma pulsations. Okay. Um, As the cycle of Adam Kadmon, we will communicate back to our parent source of light. I don't have this on the screen. I don't think. Let me change the page. So I'm going to. I'm gonna close. I'm gonna close this book up with this, the 27th verse. Yeah, I'm gonna do the 27th verse. So when you surrender your personal ego, talked about this last lesson, And identity, you are able to rise to a space-time overlap, working with your spiritual brothers and sisters through multidimensional space and time. This is essential for ongoing fulfillment of consciousness as to be one with continuity and change within evolutionary continuum. So that's all I wanted to read out of the keys because I asked the mother real quick right before I got on. I'm like, oh shit, I read this in a key somewhere. Can you show it to me? And as soon as I focused in a little bit, I'm giving y'all some major gems on how you can use your intelligence, the force that's already here, activated within you. It's just dormant because you are a child of light. You are not lacking. But if you do not know how to turn it on, it's useless. So I sat for a moment before I opened the book. So I allowed the energy to manifest a little bit higher. And then I opened the book to exactly where I needed to go. There goes the gem for y'all if you want to learn how to really act. But you also have to believe that you're gonna get where you need. You also have to have the belief. Because I knew when I did it, it would happen, and it did. Okay, so I was talking about the 13. I read the 13th verse out of the Keys of Enoch because 13 is an important number. All numbers are important, but right now we just talking about where we at in this time. This is Zechariah 13 and verse 9. And I will bring the okay, let me get a different version because this one is not yeah, with the word, what in the world? I don't know how this Lord. Let me see. I don't know how that happened. We're gonna bring it out here. So why this ain't the right list? Yeah. Mm-mm. Oh, third and nine. I'm tripping. Sorry. Okay, so and I will bring. Let me bring this open so it could be a little bit bigger for us. And I will. It says here, and this is Zechariah 13 and 9. Keep 13 on your heart. We already talked about 9. I'm gonna go to 13 again in a second. I'm gonna start actually at um I'm gonna start exactly at the verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, two parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. We already know this, but this is why the mother is constantly saying, evolve, 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 because the time, two-thirds is a lot, okay? And I will bring the third part through the fire. When I just came on here, I said that kyanite and nickel are both compounds used to refine gold. Okay. And I will bring the third part through the fire. Remember, I said being purified is just pure fire. The etymology speaks for itself. It says, and I will refine them. Hold on, y'all, because my daughter got me playing with this thing. There you go, baby. And I will bring the third part through fire, and I will refine them as silver is refined. By the way, nickel is silver. And I will try them as gold is tried, and they shall call on my name, and I will hear them, and I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God. Hallelujah. Okay, 13. Let's go. Cause I'm really not you can't listen. I be having to hype myself up because self-affirmation is very important key to how I'm able to move. So I wanted to give y'all the definition of Zechariah because why not? Everything is important. So Zechariah means whom Jehovah has remembered. Now, when we're talking about being refined, when gold is refined, it already has its value before it's refined. But the problem is it's it's more valued once it is put through the fire. It increases in value. Okay. So what you already have, remember I told you all of these things that the great mother gifted you with when she created your physical bodies and the cells in your body that you don't honor and things of that nature, those are your remembrance. So the reason why you don't acknowledge her, you don't know her, is because you forgot. And she's here to remind you. This is a walk of remembrance. All those books, the remembrance, all those books of remembrance, that significant because it ain't like you wasn't already born with it. It's just that you don't know how to activate it because it's been dormant. So Zechariah represents remembrance, okay? Whom Jehovah has remembered. Jehovah has remembered whom Jah calls to the mind, memorial of Jah, memory of Jehovah, the Lord is remembered. Now, when we talk about people who pass on, we're finna skip over here to the death card. When we talk about people who pass on, what does it always say? In love and memory, right? So your job is to remember your ancestors. You was never supposed to forget them because they are you. And that is how you will get to the mother if you have her divine mechanism living in you. Okay. So the death card. The death card is the 13th card in the tarot deck. 3 and 1 make 4. Once again, we're talking about the heart space. You can even go as far as looking at the 7 churches and the 7 seals and look and see what they tell you about the fourth one because it's the heart. Um, it's gonna align with this because in the seals, it sounds like it's gonna be lethal, and it is, but that's only for those who cannot transform or evolve. So the death card in tarot, often depicted as the Grim Reaper, symbolizes major changes, transformation, and the end of a significant phase in life rather than literal death. It encourages letting go of the past to embrace new beginnings and opportunities. I gave y'all the most basic um definition of this card, but this card held it's a hieroglyph. It has many, 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 many messages. But I do want to show it to you because here go the rider on the white horse for anybody who keeps saying tarot is evil when it's the original Torah. Everything in the Bible is in this. Okay, this is the death card, you guys. The rider on the white horse. Look at that flag, y'all. That flag, that emblem on that flag is significant to the lands. This is actually a Haitian symbol. No. It's also a Turtle Island symbol. Okay, and then you got the Pope. The sun is in the background and it's set. The sun set. Remember Set, the Egyptian god? The one who tried to kill, well, did kill Osiris? Okay. Uh, transformation. That's what this is about. And you have people in the background and things like that, but pay no mind to that because you have to remember in order to ascend, you have to die of your old self. Okay? You can't take that with you, or it wouldn't be called evolution. No. The verse that I read was 9, and I wanted to show y'all this again because the 9 in here in the keys is very indicative to the vibration of the Shekinah. Let's read it before we go. So the Shekinah universe created for the transformation of the basic building blocks of intelligence out of the sea. Remember, I told you that that symbol on the 13 on the death card represented Turtle Island. Your planet is surrounded in water. Her water represents ancestral remembrance. Yeah, that. The sea of the eternal to go into the presence of the Father, which is the presence of the Mother. Okay. 9 is the number of the Hermit card, and 9 is the number spelled at the end of the word feminine. Feminine. That's actually the word. It's pronounced feminine, but it's spelled feminine. So this is telling you about this. And also, it means self-reflection. You're going to need solitude. Please, y'all, I'm telling you, when they told y'all about these apocalypse and the what is it called? The zombie apocalypse, they played in y'all face because they wasn't lying. You're walking amongst the dead because they're not going to be able to revive these frequencies because they never had them in the first place. And the ones that don't have them are depending on us to know the way so that we can help them have them if their heart space can function under these conditions, meaning if they're open, right? Because unfortunately, the species that was created wasn't created with the same mechanism because the purpose was not of light. Let's be clear. It was sorcery and backhandedness to the mother. You know, this was Yadaboff's way of spiting her. I'm gonna make my own creation. Since you won't give me all the stuff that I want, I'm gonna do this way. And so a lot of these species who find a different problem with the things that I bring, and trust me, let me tell y'all something. Majority of these species were melanated, okay? You only need one drop, okay? So you don't be fooled by people calling themselves Israel. Please don't be fooled because the scripture I read pertained to Israel, the two-thirds that was going to be destroyed. Okay? Because unfortunately, a lot of Israel, even the ones who do hold her mechanism, they won't acknowledge her, so they're not going to be able to use it. It's useless to them. So yeah, so I'm gonna end with that. Let me make sure I don't have anything else to show y'all. I don't think so. All clear. Yeah, so I'm gonna end with that, and so now y'all know that when you hear them talking about Three Eye Atlas turning gold, it's telling you guys where we at, in this whole ordeal, right? And all these scriptures been lined up for us to notice, but unfortunately, many people don't have the discernment needed to oh shoot, I'm not sure. Many people don't have the discernment needed to actually tap in to this, right? Because they so busy being at war with themselves. Honestly, it ain't really a war against me. It's a war with yourself because I ain't did nothing to you. So all of that extra energy you got from me, hmm. Hey, we're not here to help people who don't want to be helped. So therefore, we're gonna get on this ship and save ourselves because those who want to be saved are a part of you, by the way. Okay. Anywho, let's have a wonderful evening because where I'm at it's nighttime. And let's enjoy the ride and the frequency and the vibration of the mother's return because she's here, y'all. The mother is here. So with that being said, go ahead and clap for the mother. Give her glory, give her praise, give her peace, love and respect your brothers and sisters. Even if you can't stand a frequency right now, because some of us in our evolution, we gonna need isolation from people you gonna love in a minute. It don't mean it's final. Some people gonna be final. A lot more people are going to be final in the cutoff than there will be people who will remain because it's always been about the remnant. However, the ones that you currently don't know where they stand with you, just have patience and ask the mother. Anything you need, listen, y'all, please hear me. Ask her. She's here now. She been here, but she's going to answer you quicker because of the frequency. And if you've had these encounters with her, test it. Test it now if you haven't, but if you have, I would love to hear about it. Share it in the comments. And so y'all have a blessed evening and peace and shalom.